Greetings, heroes and Force users. Welcome to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Melissa Simmons, and I'm joined today by my two pals, Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
And Daniel Dawson.
Hello there.
And today we're finally talking about the end of Agatha All Along and doing a big season wrap-up to talk about all of the gayness and the witchiness that your hearts desire. And by God, we're Marvel fans.
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Well, 72 years later, here
We
we
might
are.
as well be talking about Endgame at this point.
I know, right? It's been a very long time.
No, at this point, what we should talk about is why are you so homophobic, Dino? Why haven't you seen Wicked yet?
Oh, well, that's not...
There's a very simple answer to that, actually.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
is there?
Well, I don't know if it's simple. No, it's going to be mean. It's going to be mean. I'm not going to say that. To be clear, I am going to see Wicked.
yeah, of course you are. Of course you
One,
are.
because I'm in the community, but
Sure.
two, I don't like being left out of things generally. If I have something to say, then I need to say it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
That said, the press tour has been really weird, so I'm.
You're not alone in those feelings. I think everyone, even the people who were so excited for this movie, have been very annoyed by that.
I can't wait. Because I'm continuing on with this Little Mermaid tour. I'm already committed to doing some unofficial marketing for the Ordway and walking into a Target and saying, "That's my line." And
No.
it's like, "Stole the main sale."
No.
That's the worst of it, is that Target ad. That's the worst of it.
It's
It made
great,
me so embarrassed to be associated with any of it.
That said, it looks really good. I've heard nothing but good things. So
Yeah,
I'm
Daniel and I
looking forward
went
to seeing it.
together.
Oh,
so,
good.
Mhm.
It was excellent. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So, but
Mhm.
I'm in no hurry because
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
fine.
really turned off by all of it.
Is that really the reason?
It actually, I'm not going out of my
That's
way
so
to see
funny.
it right now.
Because they
it
turn
just
you
feels
off
kinda-
so much.
It feels fake.
Icky, fake and phony.
Yeah. So I'm
Isn't that
gonna
interesting?
put some distance between
I get it.
my impressions of the press tour, which I get it. They have to
Sure.
do what they have to do, and I can't wait to see their performances. But
Yeah.
But yeah, made you feel ick.
Well, should we talk about some other witches?
I
Did
guess.
you like that segue?
Sigweewee.
So yeah, we haven't talked about episodes 7, 8, or 9, but we're gonna kind of just talk about the whole season and obviously the
That
implications
basically is
of
the whole season.
Yeah, I mean the meat of the show was certainly the last 3 episodes.
And some of the, not some of the, it was the highest reviewed of the whole season as well.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
which
So-
one? Number 7?
Number 7 specifically, yeah.
Yes.
That tracks.
Mhm.
Yes.
So shall we start with our generals?
Not just the highest of the season, but the highest of all Marvel TV things that have happened so far on Disney Plus. It is
Really, even over WandaVision.
It is now the second highest, I think, if I remember right. It was the second highest reviewed episode of Marvel television. Yeah, and that's I think the first one was the finale of Loki.
I was going to say,
Hmm.
I was curious if Loki was in there.
It was, yeah, and so it was Loki, and then this, and so it did beat WandaVision,
Huh.
if I'm not mistaken. So
Well-
take that, WandaVision.
Well, I think WandaVision suffered from. It didn't suffer from anything, but if you wanted to nitpick, perhaps fans not checking expectations.
Right.
And therefore, everything was going to feel underwhelming if it didn't happen exactly as we theorized it. And
As the Mephisto,
For sure.
we've all
the
learned
Mephisto
our lesson.
manifesto.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well said.
Thank you.
But yes, episode 7 was the only episode to break 9.0 on IMDb. It's 9.1.
Well, since you have brought up episode 7 specifically,
Yeah.
I have to say,
Was that your favorite episode?
I don't know if I have an answer to that question yet, honestly. But I will say I think Patti LuPone is the best actor in the series.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, I have an air of surprise, and I don't mean to, because she's objectively a very talented performer, and especially if you're in
she's
the
the
musical
best,
theater.
but I've not ever really enjoyed her on television.
Well,
Like,
and it's funny.
I think that there's always been a little bit of a disconnect for me because I've seen her on stage and I've seen her in, what is her element. And so most TV stuff that I've seen her in, I'm just like a little bit like, okay.
I was going to say, much like Dino's view on the Wicked marketing, prior to the marketing for this show, and I don't know if she's had like a sudden shift in like spirituality or something, or she's just always been like this, and I've just not seen it until now. But like, I've always been kind of like turned off by her aura, because she just like comes on as so like I feel like I would be so intimidated by her in real life, and like, from all of the stories about her saying stop taking pictures and and just being like overall like kind of angry and aggressive, and that always kind of like turned me off. So I was kind of like crossing my arms, but like I just throughout her press tour and seeing how much of a real person she is, and her banter with what's her face?
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza, thank you. And just her performance in this, like you were saying, it was so nuanced and really good.
Yeah, she found a depth that maybe she's always had, but like Alyssa said, on screen in particular, it's really hard to fake it. It's hard to fake it on stage too, but you are given some grace
in a different way.
because
for
of
sure.
distance and size and all of that. But you cannot cheat.
That's what acting is. It's faking it.
I mean, yes, but you there is no way to cheat on camera, and
right.
No,
she
really
went to
we've talked about this before when we have talked about how difficult it is to get so much story in these shorter episodes, but I felt like, I mean, granted, we had all of the episodes prior to get to know her, but having this one be kind of like her standalone episode, and to have it be truly so well written and directed and acted that you felt fully satiated after, like you were like, that was an amazing episode of television. Like, say what you will about the style or anything else, but like that was just a really, really good episode of TV.
It was fun storytelling. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it reminded me. Did you both watch The Last of Us?
No.
So okay,
No,
I'm
I
not
didn't think you
fully
would
caught
also.
up. Yeah, because
really?
stupidly decided to. I know, because I stupidly tried to play the video game first, because I was one of the only people in the world who hadn't
That's right.
played
I
that
remember
game.
that.
And then I was watching it episode by episode as I had, because I was doing this on Twitch, and I was asking my viewers, I was like, okay, which episodes can I watch now? And they're like, okay, you can go up to episode 3 now. I was like, good. So yeah, I actually haven't finished it yet, which is crazy, because episode.
I don't
2 is
remember
coming
which episode it is, so I'm not going to talk about it then.
Okay, great.
But there is a one-off episode in the first season that, narratively speaking, it connects to the whole thing, but its arc only takes an hour. And
you're talking about the gay episode.
I am, yes.
It is
Nick
such
Offerman.
that is a beautiful piece of television.
It's one of the best episodes of television I've probably ever seen, and
that one too, I was like trying to cross my arms so hard for whatever reason. I was just like, this is going to be so like performative
it was
and
so
dumb
authentic
and
and
it was so beautiful.
Raw and human, and that's what I got from Patti LuPone's performances, really, particularly in that episode. And then you get the whole backstory of her fragments of memory and weaving that all in to her medieval childhood and
I always loved that feeling of like, oh, all the clues were like right in front of you the whole time, you know.
Just didn't know how they fit, and we figured that was the case, but
we just weren't sure exactly how they were going to do it. But with the tarot challenge and having that be something too that she had learned from, you know, her original coven as a child, and it just was. It was exciting and exactly what I wanted it to be.
My only complaint, and it's not for the show, it's for the marketing team. And you might argue that we probably would have figured it out anyways, but I think Funko Pop kind of fucked us because
I didn't see the Funko. What happened?
You didn't? Okay, well, no. Okay. So there was a Funko Pop release that happened, like, I think maybe even before episode 2 or 3 or something. I don't remember, but it was early on. And it was revealed that that Aubrey Plaza was Death in this show.
Oh, well, we kind of thought that she was already. I did from episode 2.
Well, and I that was I mean, I would argue
I didn't
that
see
because,
the Funko though.
Well, I know because I did, and I think I was talking about it on that episode, but I can't say that I'm not biased because I'm pretty sure that I was like, I think I don't know. It's hard to say now that I know if whether or not I would have figured it out. Because I definitely don't. I mean, I don't remember reading that in the. I mean, I definitely didn't read that in the comics. I didn't know that Death even existed in Marvel up until now. So yeah, I'm curious if the episode would have had a more profound like thing if that reveal was more, because this was the episode that was supposed to be the big reveal for Aubrey Plaza's character as Death. But I was like, we know already. Move on.
I we as Alyssa said, and you said
we had speculations. Yeah,
we had talked about it a little bit. I was surprised. I didn't see anything as far as our discussions about Rio being Death. I was like, well, I mean, it's possible, but I was still very surprised. And then the makeup work or the prosthetic or whatever they did.
Spooky.
To give her the half skull like face. I mean, that was
that was
what a great
if you look on
comic.
I should have written it down. The makeup artist who created that look for her, because it's practical.
Oh, really? Makeup. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's practical makeup that they lit and did cool stuff with. But it's like, it's practical special effects makeup, which is really cool.
Neat.
And it doesn't look like that. I mean, like, I thought for sure it was CG.
Well, it kind of, I think they did. Now that knowing that, it kind of makes it look, if you go back and watch it, I think that the way that they did it is they filmed Aubrey twice and put them like on top of each other.
Oh, probably.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it looks kind of like at one point, like her face is almost like not iridescent, like
you can like see through it,
translucent. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I'm trying to see who this one artist is because I'm curious.
Oh, the makeup artist?
Yeah,
there's a giant.
I should have written
team,
it down. She posted it on her like personal Instagram, which was really cool too. She did all the makeup on the show.
Instagram.
Let's see what else about episode 7.
In episode 7, of the room flipping upside down. Well, to start the episode with her falling, and then the cinematography was out of this world.
Well, yeah,
and obviously all the references in that episode alone to The Wizard of Oz, which they've done lots of nods to it the whole season. But
the whole season, yeah.
But so many in this episode. Obviously, that room looked like the Wicked Witch's tower from the film.
And you could tell everybody in the room was holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity.
That's perfect.
Good.
They were holding space.
They
were holding a lot of space. For that.
That's my line.
Yeah.
That will never get not funny. That whole thing.
Cringe.
Yeah, spooky.
But really,
that shot was really so cool. the
and it reminded
room.
me of like a splash page on a comic book.
Totally.
This
series,
series,
like the fold-out page. Yeah.
yeah, this series, and Loki did this too, of really leaning heavily into comic influences and not being afraid to depict something a little more comic accurate. And even Deadpool and Wolverine did this. Down to the costumes, down to the and for a long time, I feel like the superhero genre was working so hard to be grounded in some semblance of reality as much as you can, even down to the colors they choose for costumes, and that worked for a time. That was early mid 2000s, but now I feel like to keep the genre fresh and to avoid fatigue, I think it is wise to lean more heavily into source material. And I'm not familiar with Scarlet Witch comics or Agatha beyond what we've researched to talk about it
for these shows. Yeah,
but from what I've gathered, I think they've done a really great adaptation.
It's more than a wink and a nod.
'Tis.
Yeah. I actually, it wasn't this episode, was it? Where we started to get the reveal of, no, I guess that was like the very last episode. So I don't want to jump ahead too far. Never mind.
Well, I mean, we're hopping around, so
we can hop. It's fine.
What's the thought?
We're talking about the whole season.
Well,
whether...
the thought that came around, I was more of a question. I was curious, when did it occur to you, or was it like the reveal that they gave in the show that revealed it to you, that the Witch's Road, did we think it was real or not, A? And B, when did you catch on that it was at least based off of Billy Maximoff's like memories and mind?
There were a few moments for me where I knew that something was up, but didn't know exactly. So it was a reveal to me. I
think the fact that it was fake was a reveal to me, but I did because, like, you know, they've been showing us
when I'd seen certain, also when I'd seen in the credits, the end credits
was all the stuff in his
room.
Totally.
And I was like,
The more that they showed his room, I was like, oh, they gave it away, because I was like, oh, there's that and there's that.
There's like the Lorna Woot poster in his room, and I saw the Ouija board,
right?
And a few of those little kind of zinger props,
right?
But
it still didn't make it feel. Of course, you know, then you get on the question of like, what is real? You know, it's, you know, the whole reality question, because he did make it real, even though
he did,
it never existed prior to that.
The few moments that and they were, you know, obviously it's hindsight because we know the information now, but the moments specifically with Agatha and him, where he was like, if you weren't a Maximoff, this wouldn't be nearly as dramatic.
Right.
And you know, you're so much like your mother line. Like there were things in there that I was like, you know, ears perking and being like, okay, that's pertinent information, but we don't know really why exactly ties in quite yet.
But
yeah. So
it was still a
reveal for me. Yeah. I mean, we knew it was something. It's a Jack Schaefer show, so we know there's going to be some sort of like mystery, like, you know, groundwork all the way through to then finally have reveals, just like we did for WandaVision.
Totally. What about you, Dino?
It was maybe I wasn't paying attention closely enough to clues. I was very surprised,
gobsmacked.
Which in hindsight, I only watched the episodes one. Idiot. No, in hindsight, it's probably much more apparent. But I was pleasantly surprised. I think the most interesting dynamic to me is the fact that Jennifer Kale escapes. And just flies off. She doesn't know it's fake.
Right.
No,
oh, true.
she does
yeah,
not.
she never gets that vibe. Right.
And
Yeah. How
because
would
she
she know?
regains her powers on the road, so to her it's very real. So I'm
The Witch's
interested.
Road was real. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
And
to
to
her.
be fair,
once we-
it is real, but it just wasn't real.
Right.
Right. It was created by
Right.
William Billy. One thing that I thought, oh shoot, I lost it, and I knew that I was going to lose it.
She thought it, and then
In relation to,
Jennifer Kale.
well,
she
in
thought it was
episode
real,
7,
regained her power.
I in episode 7,
okay, it'll come
what's her face? Boop.
Which
2 for
one?
2. I remembered mine now.
Oh, good. Thank God.
I was
saved
hoping once we, learned the information that the road was created by Billy,
Yeah.
but I was like, but that still doesn't answer the ballad. Like, the ballad has been around. What does that mean? So I was really happy that in the very last episode they did the origin story of how
Same.
that came to
Yeah.
be. Because I was like, if they leave us with that mystery, I'm
That would have been
I'm
a
gonna be
bummer.
kind of huffy. Because
Totally.
like I would like that. Those words and that message from the song are what fueled the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, if the song itself was just a
Kind of a
was
bullshit
kind of a red herring in a way,
Yeah.
but like
Yes.
it was a MacGuffin, really.
Right.
It was like its own character in the show that pushed
Although
the plot forward.
I think that they did a decent job, because if it was just a MacGuffin, I think it would have been a bummer. But it did have like this sort of emotional weight attached to it with Agatha and her late son. Although, sorry, what I was going to say about Lilia, that was the word I was looking for. Lilia actually turns to her and says, like, "You are the future," or in so many words. Before
Yes.
that was like her last words to her before she like locks herself in the tower.
The way forward, I think.
The way forward. That's I
Yeah.
think you're right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, whatever the fuck that means. I mean, I know she is the High Empress. Empress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's gonna be heading up some witchy thing coming up.
And I gotta say, I really, really liked Shahir's performance in
Yeah.
that scene into her escaping, because she has not. I've told you this, like, she just hasn't been my favorite character of the show.
Yeah.
Not for any reason really in particular, other than I didn't really like have a ton of like emotional pull for her.
Well, yeah.
But
I don't.
her,
They didn't give her. I mean, like, if we're gonna compare her emotional arc to like Lilia's, like they
Right.
really wrapped her like Lilia's story up like with the most beautiful bow you can possibly imagine. Of course, I think that maybe the reason for that is that her story is still
it's not
far
over.
from over.
Yeah, for sure.
We're just getting
which
like,
makes so much
the
more sense
springboard.
now.
Mhm.
But yeah, her acting was really beautiful, getting her magic back. That was really,
very powerful.
really,
yeah.
really beautiful.
There was a lot of underlying tones
Yeah,
of
that
yeah.
that meant a lot of things.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it was very layered. Yeah.
But it was really beautiful, and her acting was great. It was just
Mhm.
lit really cool, and yeah, I was all about that.
I was all about it.
I was all
Well,
about
I
that.
appreciated too in the when we're getting this story about the song and the road, and
Mhm.
that it then takes us back to when she has the coven we know getting ready to quote unquote open the door, and how
Yeah.
shocked she is.
She's like,
That
wait,
an
what?
actual
And
door
getting
gets there.
getting to see it again in that light was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't usually take this long. What?
Yeah,
Oh
she was.
my
That was a
God.
genuine Agatha being shocked
Yes.
moment.
And
There's
it
a
is nice to
cool
see, too,
detail
that-
in that scene.
Oh, yeah?
The bell that she's
Oh,
ringing with
yes.
the current coven. That's the bell that Nicholas steals
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
from the, I don't know,
The other
village
witches.
whichever
Yeah.
grouping those
Yeah.
were.
Mhm. The village witches. YMCA.
Another shout out and performance. mostly because I believe Aubrey Plaza is this unhinged in life.
Oh my God.
For sure. For
that,
sure.
Just the ghoulish delight she takes in being death. I thought that was an amazing performance.
That was
Yeah.
so fun.
And
And also,
so
also
glad
seeing
that
her
this is...
seeing her soft side as well with the full flashback in the finale.
Yeah, well, and then when she has that interaction with Agatha. Okay, I'll get you the kid, but then I'm done with you. And she's hurt by that.
Oh, she's killed. Yeah, it destroys her. Yeah,
she's the I don't know if the epitome of evil. I mean, if you can't really consider death evil per se, but the personification of death feeling things like that was, I think, a very interesting color to add into the mix.
Do either of you know Cameron Esposito? She's a stand-up comic and actor.
Probably,
maybe.
but it's not.
Anyways, she's been, like most lesbians, absolutely obsessed with the series.
Oh, I'm sure.
She did it was like a day after the election. She made a video, but the video was called "Rio is the Father."
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a big...
That got me.
Because it's a big mystery. We don't know. And I'm curious if they kept it out. I'm curious why they kept it out of this story. If they're planning on, because they have to let us know. There's two major mysteries that came out of that origin episode that they did not touch on, which was how she got the Darkhold, and who the father is of Nicholas Scratch. So I don't know. And she said, the only hints that we got about that one in particular is that she said, to the baby, I made you from scratch, which...
Yeah, she didn't use magic to make him.
Right. So, that means that, she banged somebody. Probably. I mean,
so, is there an immaculate conception angle here?
I don't know. Because, doesn't that in itself kind of feel magical?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
but
if I made you from scratch, implies that she did it the old-fashioned way with no magic, then I don't know about magic. And I also was thinking in my head, oh, well then, maybe they did the acolyte thing, and the witches sort of created...
I'm not saying I think that. I wonder if there is a...
Yeah, I think there are obviously many options that it could be, but
they actually might have seen acolyte in the response to that, and they're like, "Ooh, let's change the script really quick."
Well, having regardless of exactly scientifically or magically speaking how it happened, Rio's connection to Nicholas is important, right? She lets him live longer than she was meant to. And when she has to take him away, that moment was loaded, right? When she wakes him up and is like, kiss your mom, and then takes him. There's a lot there, and I think not just because she loves Agatha. I think it's a lot of stuff that we don't know yet, which is fun.
Totally.
I like
it. There's extra mystery there, because it might not be just a Final Destination thing where he's just been dodging death, he was
I think
sick and he needed to die.
There's a clear father. And
and
it's Mephisto.
whoever that, right, and whoever wants his soul, because his soul is special for some reason, There's a higher reason there. I mean, there might not be. It might be just as simple that he was sick and that he needed to die early.
It was his time. Yeah.
It was his time. But I think you're right, Alyssa. I think there is a deeper meaning.
Yeah, and I gotta
Feels
say
like
that moment in particular too, when Rio comes to get him the first time, when Agatha hasn't even given birth yet, and she's begging her.
That's
Like I was like, oh God,
heartbreaking.
I was like not ready to be affected that way by this show, but that moment
like,
really got me. And then
also,
her singing the ballad as she was burying him, I was
Ugh,
like,
good Lord.
hello.
Well, and also that Death, Aubrey Plaza's character, you know, like before she takes him, like she lets him go, like say goodbye or like, you know, hug her, and oh my God.
Yeah.
That was devastating. I wasn't ready for that scene. My God. So sad.
You know, Marvel, we've talked about it, and at this point it's not a unique opinion that Marvel's been really uneven even since the launch of Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will
Absolutely.
say though, at its best, what Marvel Television has done and what some of the best Marvel movies have done are take huge, maybe abstract concepts, and depict them so beautifully and with such a terrific human touch that it really makes me think, like, whenever we talk about this genre just kind of being superficial cotton candy for the masses, some of it is, but
Sure.
but at its best, it does exactly what you just described, Melissa, and that moment, I think about like the Loki finale. I think about like Wanda and Vision
Yep.
parting.
Say goodbye.
I go back to Endgame and think about Old Cap with Sam.
Yep.
Just all the goosebump inducing moments.
Yeah. I don't know what
Where the
I don't know
overarching
what,
message becomes like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, humanity and
Grief.
life, death, grief. Yeah, I don't know. One thing that I thought of multiple times throughout this series, as I did during WandaVision, was
Oh my God, I'm a lesbian.
I don't
Oh,
know
sorry.
what. Yeah, no, that wasn't here. I don't know what Jack Schaefer has gone through in her life.
Oh my God.
But
who hurt you, Jack?
But she has, I don't know. I trust the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe to that woman now. I desperately want them to give her some movies because her storytelling, like, it comes down to like how she tells stories
Yeah,
is so good.
Yeah, I think if you could
without
get a
saying it
triumvirate,
even in a smart way, like, it is just good.
I think if you could get a triumvirate of Jack Schaefer, Michael Waldron, and the Russo brothers, you have you cover all the bases. And I think, to your point, Jack Schaefer has captured, I think, the emotional core of Marvel the best.
Yes, majorly.
Agreed.
Yeah,
at least in this new era of Marvel. Yeah. Like, by far,
because it's different. I mean,
best.
you compare, which, you know, we've talked about the early era of the MCU, and like there's awesome stuff there, and it's
Certainly.
just as a genre, and it's now, when was the first, technically
2008.
2008? Okay.
Yeah.
Just a few years ago.
Yeah, like our absorption of content is different now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just different because of many things. But like, yeah, I really hope that they continue to give her more projects, because
They have to at this point. I mean,
Well, I should know this, and we've talked about it already, but is she doing Vision Quest?
I think so.
well, yeah, because I mean,
Or
at this
is
point,
it,
I thought it was her, and I thought also that, because now it's not completely confirmed, but I think there's going to be a Wiccan show.
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting. Well,
I'd
and I
be
was going to
curious if they
ask
give her
because we have been told now that this was the second in a series of a trilogy series.
Trilogy of series,
right? Which makes sense because it's a full continuation of WandaVision.
I mean, Disney has been stupid and put trilogies with different directors and different writers, but I think that they, God willing, have made,
I hope they keep her with it. And I hope that the success of this show has showed them what she's capable of doing.
They've done weirder things, but it would be extremely weird to pull her out of this, trilogy.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like, I mean, the idea of it being a trilogy, I'm curious if that was her brainchild or not.
Yeah,
so like kind of take that from her would be weird.
She only wrote 2 episodes this season.
But
she wrote the first one, but she directed one,
was
2.
showrunner, I think, for it.
And she's a showrunner.
But she's the showrunner, so
3,
at least she's like sort of in charge of the overarching
correct
thing.
Yeah. But I mean, she directed Lilia's episode,
Right.
The Death's Hand in Mine.
All the good ones.
And she co-wrote the finale.
Finally.
With Laura Donnie. Yeah. I have a question for both of you.
Yes.
Do you think
Yes.
that are you sure?
Sorry, I got excited.
Are you sure? Do you think that Agatha started absorbing other witches' magic? Like, why do you think she did that? I guess this is my question.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you asked that because I was going to ask you guys a similar question. I think that I think it's, I don't know. I think it's pretty clear. I think it's to extend her life.
Okay.
It's like a life extension, like insurance plan, but and also power too. Because like but it's interesting because
a lot
it's
of people, a lot of people when they watched it, since you only see her do it for the first time after Nicholas is born, people assume that it's like in relation to him somehow.
I don't know. I think that because if it time wise, I think that because they told us like what time that was, and I think that section happens after she's gotten hold of the Darkhold and had that little, stake. She was at the stake and then killed her mom. Like that all happened, I think, prior to that flashback. I think. Yeah, am I crazy?
I think so.
So she had the Darkhold when she had Nick?
I think so. But it's interesting, though, that you say that because we
don't know.
In those flashbacks, we never saw the Darkhold. Like, she never whipped it out. And it would be, I mean, I know that wasn't really part of that, the story that they were telling at that point. So why would she? But just for continuity's sake, just to be like, to like help us watchers be like, oh, yes, she already has the Darkhold. But like,
yeah, maybe there's something in the Darkhold about that we don't know.
Soul
That's
sucking.
like about the absorption of other magical beings' powers.
That was kind of my it's either one of two things. Like she's unlocked this innate ability within herself. Like that was sort of like maybe she's like maybe she's a mutant and she has like this that's like her mutant power. That's like, very deep divey, like weird theory. But
so
but
your answer is though is for life extension and power.
Power, yeah. Like the more witches she sucks, the longer she lives, and the more powerful she can get.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I think it's partially that, and then depending on the timeline of, and this is not something I'm clear on, when she was betrayed by her mother.
Betrayed.
There is an element of wanting to protect herself, but protect her son, and I think that
must have happened. I think that must have happened prior to his birth.
I think it
because
that's what would make
the
sense
conversation that she has on when they very first start making up the road song.
Yeah.
When he asks her, he says, "Well, can't we live with other witches?" And she said, "No, because they will try to kill me."
Right.
So
they
I think
know.
I think that's kind of the answer.
You're that soul-sucking witch.
she goes out of her way to keep killing because anybody with the ability to do what she can do is by definition a threat.
She says it's about survival.
Yeah. So and you said that, Daniel. So I think it's not only to extend her life, but to protect her son, and then after the fact, she keeps doing it after the fact, and I think at that point it's vengeance, and
it's vengeance and power.
Totally,
that
it
continues
does.
to
I think
fuel it.
I think it does kind of shift after Nick dies.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
because she's so sad.
Well, and interestingly, that ties into where we are with her presently, which is stuck really in between life and death because she's afraid to face him for what she's continued to do since he died.
And you could argue too that she continued sucking all these witches.
Yeah,
sucking them off. But she was doing that also for for a similar reason, because she was just like, I can't face that.
Yeah, the prolonging of life is the fear of death, which is kind of the overarching.
Yeah, the whole story of this
is the fear of death.
Mm-hmm. And is it the fear of? Is it also an extension to that? Like perhaps it's not just the fear of facing Nick, but the fear of facing the father.
If it is a father. I do have to say I loved the montage of her through the decades,
through the years. Yes.
Yeah.
Doing her sucking thing. The costumes were fantastic. Costumes
fun.
and the wigs were just really, really fun.
I love a musical montage.
Yeah, it felt exactly like what I wanted that to look like, because I was like, I wonder how often and how how long she's been doing this, and then
there it was.
We got those answers.
Well, and it's a continuation of WandaVision and
right,
nailing period really well.
Yes.
Yes.
And in really creative ways. And I'm curious if that theme carries over into Vision Quest,
which to me feels like it's going to be a very different vibe. Because I mean,
well, especially with the inclusion of Ultron and
right,
yeah.
I mean, it is the other half to this equation. I mean,
sure,
WandaVision. I think another reason people were kind of confused with how WandaVision landed the plane was you have the whole magical aspect of it, and then the nature of whatever the hell Vision is now.
Right.
I don't see how they bring the witchiness into that, but
I don't know.
I don't know that it will be witchy, other than, I mean, Wanda's got to be involved in that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. We haven't even talked about Wanda yet, but before we dive into any of that, I was curious. I'm not curious at all.
No, you haven't been curious a day in your life.
Not a day in my life. Going back to her powers and what they do for her, Agatha, when she's at the stake and she's like, it like the soul sucking kind of like comes as sort of a surprise to her at first.
Yeah, it's
at least
under
that's
duress.
the way. Yeah, it almost looks like.
Yeah, it's not like the other times that she does it, where she's like, baiting them and aware of what's going to happen.
It feels super purposeful. Yeah, at least at that point she was like, oh God, don't hurt me, and then it happens, and then she's like, oh, wait a minute, and then she kind of goes for it. But I mean, you could probably argue a lot of things. I mean, it was coolly directed because it does feel, that maybe she knew that ability was there, but she didn't know how to use it. Maybe this was the first time. She's like, oh my God, this is it. It's actually
hard with
happening
Agatha
now.
because she, you know what I mean? She does some really bad stuff.
Yeah,
I do think even when
that's the other question.
Even when she consciously uses it, I do think it's purposeful. It was displayed that way to begin with because it is triggered by fear and then anger and those are things. If we reason that she does what she does to protect her son and herself, well, then, the emotions of fear and anger are going to be really prominent. So I think she has to be in that state to do it.
Mm.
I think she has to be in a state of duress to use it. And anytime we've seen her use it, montage aside, when she uses it, which episode is it when she does it to, when they're sitting
to
around
Alice?
the Ouija? Yeah,
To Alice.
to Alice.
Yeah, that's episode.
It kind of comes as a surprise, and then she leans
Same.
into it. But
she's like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah.
But it is triggered by, she just had that interaction with her mom, and
Right.
And it seems like there's a theme to that because Billy has the exact same type of vibe. Like, he doesn't know that he has these powers until he gets into that really emotional place.
And that was Wanda in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was
big time. Yeah.
Yeah. At least
You go back to that flashback in WandaVision with her and
Sokovia.
Pietro
Yep.
when they were little kids. It's like the first time that she uses her magic
To stop the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So I'm glad that they didn't bring Wanda into the show, even though it was like, it would have been neat. Even if it was some kind of like a little cute teaser at the very, very, very end. But yeah, I think we're all pretty much in it. I mean, she's. Do you think that this show made it clear if she was like fully dead or not?
I think the show made clear, I don't know if intentionally, but it made clear she's very much alive.
Correct.
Right?
That's what
By even asking the question and then giving kind of a nondescript answer, I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she's like, they asked her flat out and she's just like, no. Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, why would you write it that way if you didn't want us to think that?
Yeah, and I think the quest for Tommy and then wrapping up Vision's story. I mean, she has to be involved to some degree.
Is the next show going to be called Billy All Along?
Hopefully not.
It's a really terrible title, but I mean, it is funny because, like, the theme of WandaVision was that it was Agatha all along.
Yes,
and in this show, it's now Billy has taken that because he was the one pulling all the strings the whole time. So I wonder,
unbeknownst to him too, which is like pretty wild to think, like if he was capable of that kind of magic, kind of like unconsciously, what type of magic he will be able to create when he's actually aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, if his boyfriend breaks up with him, good luck, world. We're all fucked.
I also think on the point of Wanda, she needs a redemption arc.
Yes.
That's probably going to take, and I'm actually curious too if you think it's going to happen this phase or if that's going to be part of, like, they're going to hold off until the mutant phase.
Well, I think she's going to be. This is just me spitballing. I have no idea.
Of course.
Conjecture.
I think she's going to be a huge part of Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And she could very well be what kicks off. Very similar to like House of M, the comic series. She could very well kick off the whole mutant saga, but within that, she has to, whether it be in Vision Quest or Secret Wars, or she's got to do something to make up for a lot of bad.
Well, yeah, all that happened in WandaVision and all that happened in Multiverse of Madness. So
yeah, like the incursion, destroying an entire universe. It's kind of rough thing she's done. I also wonder, because at the end of the series we see Agatha like holding Billy's hand and saying, "Let's go find your brother." does that also entail like finding Wanda too? Or is that going to be
potentially, or when Wanda becomes aware that that both of her children are physically alive now.
Yeah.
She's probably going to come around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then realizing that like the entirety of her shenanigans in Multiverse of Madness was completely unnecessary.
Well.
Oops.
I mean, yeah, you can't undo it, whether you agree with where they took the character. You now have to come back from that. So
Right.
I
mean, she murders people.
Murders a lot of people.
A lot of them.
Yeah, so it'll be very, very. I mean, I don't know. We've had some maybe even worse villains that have made like full turnarounds.
Yeah, Bucky.
Loki,
obviously
even.
Loki. Yeah,
and Bucky, you can excuse it as mind control, but
sure,
but still, Loki, yes.
And we I mean, she did make the choice to, like, even with all the warnings, to use the Darkhold. But I think we did, even when we were reviewing and talking about Multiverse of Madness, we conjectured that like she was under the control of the Darkhold, because we all know that the more you use the Darkhold, the more you become spooky.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And I mean, if you are going to go to bat for the character choice they made for her to kind of go off her rocker and Multiverse of Madness, this whole last phase of Marvel has been loosely about how each character deals with grief and loss, and everyone deals with it very differently. Shuri deals with it different than Wanda does, than Loki does, than so it's not all going to be pretty. And I know people were upset that Wanda might have gotten kind of the Daenerys season 8 treatment a little bit, but
sure.
But I do see justification for it. I think they got to work. No pun intended. They got to work a little magic to zhuzh it out a little bit, but we'll see.
Iron out some stuff. Yeah, it's possible. And God, when did Multiverse of Madness came out? 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
22.
2 years ago.
Summer of 22.
So, by the time we get to see Wanda again, which, we're going to see Wanda again. That's pretty clear. Maybe people will have forgotten at that point. It will have been long enough. And she's, maybe she's been spending time in hell with Nicholas Scratch, and they're like hanging out and learning.
I don't think it's the fact she is or was nuts. I think it was where WandaVision left her and where Multiverse of Madness picks up. And I go, well,
we missed some stuff.
What happened between?
Why is she?
Yeah.
And the explanation is the Darkhold, but I don't think that was enough for.
It was too. Yeah,
it
was too.
Or
too
we didn't
simple.
see the progression. It just kind of
snaps.
She just snaps.
And it could have been. I feel like it could have been very, if they were trying to, because I don't even think that they said that, like, we had to build that story for ourselves to make it make sense.
I mean, at the end of WandaVision, we see her. We see her
in the Eastern Europe mountainside,
and she's kind of got the crazy eyes and
right.
But that's all we got. So
right. But it's like but seeing her like as normal Wanda, and then being tempted by it, and then seeing the like, and I think they're out. I think oftentimes in storytelling, you have the person on the outside looking in, being able to say like, "Hey, Wanda, I think you should put the Darkhold down and bring. It's my book, my process." You know what I mean? Whatever. So you can like, understand that. Oh wow, okay, the Darkhold's really got her.
Yeah,
yeah. We never got that. Whatever that is.
Yeah, this is a bit of a pivot, but I'm interested to see what you both think.
Pivot step, kickball change, barrel roll.
So Rio agrees to let Billy go because she gets Agatha, right? But it still doesn't really answer the question for like he's disrupted. What did she say? He's disrupted the
It's like the
sacred
like,
balance or something.
right. She's like, that's just, these are the rules. Like he's
Right. So he stole a body, right? That belonged to her.
right.
And now technically he has stolen another body to get Tommy into a body.
Right.
So do we think
Which
that,
also is such a sad story. Like kid being
awful.
bullied and then drowning to death. So
Awful.
fucking sad.
Do we think that she's going to like be going after them?
Well, yeah, right. I mean, that's interesting because, like he said, I'll let you.
Technically, Agatha was like, she's like, it's one or the other, and Agatha goes.
Right.
But now that there's
also Tommy.
There's also another one, so he's now done it twice.
Like you're pushing the envelope there with the.
You're breaking the rules. Like you broke it once. Agatha, sacrificed herself kind of for you.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's fair to assume
she'll be back.
Yeah, she'll go out of her way to.
And how do they tie up that bow? Like, are these kids actually dead? I mean, I think I think when we talked about it before, we were like, yes, Billy Kaplan is
yes, those people were dead,
right?
Or like about to be fully dead, and
that's why he has some of their,
there's
basically
still
two people in one body. Yeah.
Sure.
Because it's like the physical body, so it's like the physical memories of the previous soul that was in there.
Like I'm a soul that's using this person's dead brain.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's like we're not really communicating yet, which is why I don't know. Yeah, interesting. So,
Agatha's the one that helped him do that too, for Tommy.
The what?
Agatha helped Billy do the same thing for Tommy. She was like, picture.
Oh, right, because at
like,
that point the soul was just
breathing.
floating around in the ether, and not sure, and then right. Interesting. So Tommy has his mommy's ability, which is very, very powerful.
You mean Billy?
Sorry, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like, and I mean, like, can he do that to any dying person? You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty
I don't
intense.
know. I don't know if it's just because he had a connection. You know what I mean? His twin brother, and he knew him so well, or I don't know.
Would definitely be something that some evil person would try to take advantage of.
Yep.
Because it basically makes you unkillable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Unlimited powers. Yeah. So you think that there's not only going to be a sequel to, I mean, obviously we know that there's going to be a sequel to the series, which is Vision Quest, but that there might be
there's unconfirmed there's unconfirmed reports that there's now, because of the success of Agatha, that there's going to be a continuation specifically with Billy and Agatha looking for Tommy, and I don't know. So that makes a whole lot of sense to have that be in the Vision Quest show. I don't really know.
So it could still be within the trilogy, but like it'll be like a season 2 of Agatha All Along, as opposed to a brand new show.
The unconfirmed thing is that it would be like a Wiccan centric, so potentially just called Wiccan,
the musical.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ever decide to do if they ever decide to do Young Avengers, which they need to hurry up because the Young Avengers aren't going to be young.
They're getting old.
Longer, but,
for sure.
But if they ever do that,
How could they not at this point? Like they've been spending all these
I
years
know, but
building the roster.
They've got to hurry then, or they're going to
Kate
have
Bishop
to recast.
is not a child. Kate Bishop is pretty
No,
much our
she's an
age
adult.
almost.
Who in
She's an adult
the
now.
grand in the roster of Young Avengers, like who are we missing at this point? Like couldn't they just pop it out like right now?
Yeah, but we just haven't spent much time with anybody.
We don't care about them.
I mean, it sounds like we're going to get another season of Hawkeye at some point.
Right, I did hear
read that
yeah.
recently.
Oh wow, really?
Which I
That's
think
shocking.
is wild, but yeah.
Well,
I mean, I've also heard
you
that
got to
too.
rope Kate Bishop back in. I mean, I
know,
thought she was going to be like one of the.
And if they, they set up Riri Williams, Ironheart,
Right,
in
which is coming out. We've got another
Black
trailer
Panther.
for that.
But
is she the last cog in the wheel there?
I don't think so.
We met
There's more
what's-his-face
Young
from,
Avengers.
Captain America.
Yes,
There's a young Captain America.
Isaiah.
We met,
Isaiah's
Oh,
grandson.
right. But I mean, you could kind of say that we've been sort of introduced, and maybe that's going to happen in the new Captain America movie. Maybe we're going to.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Could
I think
be.
that's plausible.
Yeah, but you're right though. They're all getting old.
Right.
So
We've also been told
not very young Avengers.
by good old what's his face, president of Marvel. What's
Kevin
his
Feige.
name?
Kevin Feige.
Yes, Lord Feige. That we are going to meet another mutant within the next few movies, which is interesting.
Sure.
Wonder who it's gonna be. Not just. I think he sort of alluded to it being one that we already know. Yeah. So that's also interesting.
Got it.
I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about, but
That's okay. Well,
just
Marvel moving forward. Any other thoughts on Agatha before we wrap it up? Because we've been talking for about an hour.
I'm
just love
glad
it so
Catherine Hahn got this made because
Yeah.
I count me as
Mother
somebody who's
Hahn.
skeptical. We needed this show.
yeah, and I'm pretty thrilled that like it's really really nice when there's a bunch of hype about a character and then they get a second chance and that it actually lands the plane and it's good because they're this could have easily have been not great.
Well, she talked about when she got the phone call about this, and she was like, I mean, Agatha is in maybe a total of like 10 comic books.
Yeah.
Like she was like, it's this like, kind of obscure character. And she's like, I was shocked that they were wanting to do even after WandaVision, even after the success of the character in that show. She was like, I was genuinely surprised. But
you got to give credit to Feige and then Jack Schaefer and
me
and Daniel and Marvel since the very beginning. This is in no way comparable, but it makes a similar point. Iron Man has always been B-level in terms of popularity.
It's so true.
And
it is so true.
They risked everything on rehabilitating an actual man to play a B-list superhero.
Yep. Yeah, those books never sold well and almost got canceled like a million times. Like they were just like, we're just going to let him be dead
And they
in the water.
turned that character into the centerpiece of
It's so true.
everything. So, I mean, of course they were able to do it with Agatha. I mean, maybe it's my fault for doubting them because I was kind of like, well, why?
Yeah. Do we need it?
I think it goes to show that it's not about the character; it's about the story you're telling.
And who you get to do it. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah,
I think Catherine Hahn is a pretty singular talent in that regard.
Correct.
Brilliant actress. And if you're relying fully on a character to carry your show or movie or whatever it is, and you don't have like a good story to tell, then it's not going to go over well. So they did great. It's very
Good
very
job,
good.
Marvel.
Good job, Marvel.
You really did it. And also, not to mention, pretty thrilled about this little nugget too. That this was probably, I think, one of their cheapest shows that they've ever put on.
Yeah.
And it
just goes to show you.
Yeah,
well,
don't need to throw a bunch of CGI and boom
and
booms.
Please don't, especially if you don't have the money to do it, because then we get a She-Hulk and a Miss Marvel situation where they don't look right.
Right.
And they won't age well either.
No.
That too.
But you guys can speak to this.
I will.
Wicked, save for advertise. I don't know what they spent on advertising, but the budget for both movies was $150 million.
It's freaking huge.
Mm-hmm.
Which it sounds like a lot of money, but not when they're spending $300 million on Red One.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you know what point I'm making.
Yes. Yes.
Correct.
And they made it back in a weekend. So that is efficient and good. And look at how beautiful Wicked looks. I mean, I
it does.
I haven't seen the movie,
It's
but
really
it's
really
It
beautiful.
looks really terrific.
Yes.
And I was gonna say that the movie looks prettier in my opinion when they're using practical stuff.
It does. It just does, because our eyes. We know how good a lot of the CG has gotten, but our eyes can still tell when it's not a practical set.
Unless it's the train scene, because I could have sworn that entire scene was 100% CGI, but the train was not. It was actually a physical train that they built. But I think it was just like maybe the posts they tried to make it look more shiny and like reflective of the things around it.
It
so
looks magical.
Yeah, so I think that part of it made it look CGI to me. But anyway, but I digress.
Well,
Dino hasn't seen it, so he doesn't know.
Oh God, there's a train. I'm sorry.
Oh no. But on this point of like CGI, I sent you guys the link to this Star Trek short to celebrate 30 years or 35 years from. And Sam Witwer plays Kirk. What's his face? Oh my God. This is
Captain Kirk?
Sleep.
William Shatner.
Will Shatner.
Thank you, Will Shatner.
Yeah.
Who I met and is a very good friend of mine.
And they use
Oh, you met him when you were secretly taking a video of him?
At Cirque du Soleil.
You freak.
You're freak for multiple reasons.
Very good friends. I gotta cease and desist letter for sure.
But they unveiled. So Sam Witwer did this in collaboration with Lucasfilm and Skywalker Sound, and they unveiled a new motion capture technology that in real time renders the face of whoever they've created.
Crazy.
And I got absolute goosebumps. Not even in the way they did Harrison Ford. Like this isn't face swapping.
Right.
This is literally doing what they did with Gollum. And,
Yes.
And or Davy Jones or whoever the hell you want to talk about.
But in real time, as opposed to like in post.
But in real time,
post,
and they took took a
wild.
video behind the scenes of the monitors, and it's William Shatner.
That's
It was
insane.
unbelievable. And
Insane.
Sam Witwer gave this really thoughtful response to the short film because he himself is an actor. He advocates for actors, and
Of course.
he was talking about everyone's fear about artificial intelligence taking people's jobs, and he said, "This is." I don't know all the ins and outs of it, obviously, but this is taking artificial intelligence and giving it, putting it in the hands of artists, and it's his performance.
Of course.
I mean, it's his facial expressions, it's artistry, and it was absolutely mind blowing.
It's interesting because, like, if you know Sam Witwer well enough, like at this point, because being like Star Wars fans as we are.
Yes.
Like you can see like some of the isms pop through of Sam Witwer. I was just like, but it looks like
it's
crazy.
William Shatner.
Effing believable.
Yeah, it's nuts. If you get a chance, like Google it. I don't know, how would you Google that? Like,
what's it called? Unification. It's called Star Trek Unification.
That's right. But it would honestly, I still am kind of like weirded out by the timing of it all because it kind of like looks as if it's because at the end of it, it's like it's like for Leonard Nimoy, but like, you know, he died a while back, but it like,
well, relatively recently though, no?
Yeah, I guess so. But it to me, it feels like it's a William Shatner memorial, and I'm like, he's not dead yet. Don't do this.
No, he's alive.
But it was honoring. I'm not a Star Trek fan, so it was honoring the anniversary of I don't remember which one.
Star Trek.
At me, Star Trek.
Next
fans,
Gen, probably. I think Next Gen is the.
No, not Next Gen. It wouldn't be like, because if it was Next Gen, they would have used Captain Picard.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But the Star Trek fans know. But
we don't know. Sorry, wrong stars.
I was very moved by that.
But I am a Star Trek fan. I should know.
I'd be curious to see how that technology.
You've watched it all?
Oh yeah,
Daniel?
I watched every Star Trek.
Oh wow,
I'm obsessed.
I've seen them in bits and pieces. It's never been my bag.
I've watched every single episode. The only like TV series that I've seen every single episode of was Next Generation. That I mean was literally my childhood.
Is that the one with Janeway?
Janeway? No. That's
Captain Janeway?
That's Picard. That's
okay. That's okay.
Yeah. It is. It's still. I mean, obviously, it's very, very dated and so 90s, but it still slaps. It's great. I watched it during the pandemic again for like the second time.
That technology is pretty thrilling, and
and especially cool. in this line for Marvel and Star Wars, like the options there are really cool.
You have to hire a good actor to do it,
right? Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think you should feel, you know.
I haven't gotten any phone calls yet. It's very weird.
Like imagine if they had that to do for Carrie Fisher.
And Tarkin, when they rolled it out for
like
Rogue
how
One,
different that would have felt. Wow,
I want that now.
Well, maybe somebody will go back and do that.
I'll do it.
Oh, fine. All right. Well, any other final thoughts and prayers, people?
I'm ready for the Marvel machine to ramp up again. They took a much needed break to figure themselves out. And
thank God.
I'm cautiously
optimistic. It does feel like we have a direction. Yeah. And it sounds, and I'm talking about Kevin Feige again, he says that his new like thing that he's most excited about is Fantastic Four. So
yeah, I think you never know for sure
on that.
You never know for sure, but it just feels like the vibes coming from that cast, from that creative team. I think they might know what they have.
Like Marvel is back, baby. Yeah. It's that movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No pressure.
Yeah, so it's going to have a 48 on Rotten Tomatoes, and we're all going to pretend to like it for a week, and then
move on with our lives.
And then we're going to see what's his fucking face in what's his name?
Galactus.
Not Galactus. That would be actually way funnier.
Where he swallows the entire MCU and we just end it.
No, yeah, I'm just like imagining him going into Target and being like, "That's my line."
That's my line. Eats the target.
Yes.
The Target dog.
God, Disney, it's okay. You can take that idea from me. I don't need any money, but actually, I would love the money though.
The Family Guy's going to get a hold of it before anybody.
Yes.
Oh,
that's it.
All right. Well, that was
really good.
Agatha All Along.
At long last.
Yes.
At long last.
All right. Thanks for watching or listening, whatever you did. This is Inside the Tauntaun. I'm Melissa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And I'm Dino DeCandros.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.